Viewer discretion is advised.
Baby, did you hear that? Yeah, baby, I heard it too. Look out the window, golly, the sky is electric blue. Mama Earth is dying and crying because of you. Raining cats and jackals, our shackles disintegrate to residue. Silly mortals having a clue.
Do you how do? Today is a very, very special video. Now I'm going to be telling the tales of my two primes. So here we go. First things first, who had the bigger audience? Now, the 2020 version of myself was unknown, okay? Because after a disappointing freshman year, I didn't have much of an audience. I had a little audience, talking about from my grade standpoint. But all that changed in October 2019 because my mission was to get the biggest audience as possible alongside my homeboys, you know what I'm saying? And shortly after the performance, I figured that more of my audience grew, but it's not as much as I thought it would be, you know what I'm saying? Because I was little to known at that time. So later on in 2022, which is exactly 2 years later, I had kids from different grades to be in my audience. You know what I'm saying? I had the whole world upon my hands. So this one goes to 2022 TJXP by a landslide. You know what I'm saying? Because this guy just had all the aura back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Just all the aura. I know it was back in the day. It was like exactly 3 years ago. That is crazy to think about. You know what I'm saying? A young guy at 18 years old who had the entire school at the palm of his hand and didn't even take advantage of. He didn't even take it for granted. That's how much loved he is. So this one goes to 22 TJXP. Now, trash talking. The 2020 version was never like a real trash talker. I mean, he could talk a lot of trash, but at the same time, 2020 version of myself was more brutal of it because he had the mentality of I'm better than you, you, and you. He had the more better mentality than 2022 because he'll be ready to go at you and he'll be ready to fight if he has to. You know what I'm saying? He just didn't care about the rules. You know what I'm saying? He just wanted to have fun. You know what I'm saying? Achieve his goals. You know what I'm saying? Just like 2022 TJXP, he wanted to achieve his goals too, but he was much more solid because he wanted to have a good year. Okay? 2020 TJXP is one of the biggest trash talkers on the planet, even though he doesn't care what consequences come with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was like the Michael Jordan of trash talking. You know what I'm saying? And the 2022 version was more of a Draymond, Steph Curry type trash talk. You know what I'm saying? He just has that deadly look in his eyes. So 2020 was much more vocal. So this one goes to him. Confidence. Now, confidence is a bigger step because 2022 TJXP always had knots in his stomach. The 2022 version of myself had knots in the stomach, but I still had confidence. But looking back a couple years beforehand, the 2020 version of myself had all the confidence in the world. He didn't care of what consequences came with what he was doing. He just wanted to have fun. You know what I'm saying? Things made sense back in the day. You know what I'm saying? I think many people would put an asterisk on that, but I don't care. You know what I'm saying? He always had confidence in himself. What if he was in love with a girl or not? He always thought positive of everybody else and what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? So this one goes to the 2020 version of myself. Much more confident. Wanted all the smoke. He didn't care what people dissed him or not. He was always willing to respond and let people know that he's done with being disrespected. So the 2020 version of myself wins this one. Riz game. Now, this is a big one. Okay? Now, this one obviously goes to the 2020 version of myself because obviously I never had any butterflies in my stomach of showing my Riz, how to, flirt with a woman. Never any of that. Because the 2020 version of myself didn't have the Riz quite yet. He was still young. He was only 16 years old. But now, fast forward a couple of years later, at 18, I figured that the Loverboy game, I was in my prime when it came to Loverboys, obviously before I retired a year later. So, the 2022 version had more confidence than anybody else in the world when it comes to flirting with a woman and eventually asking her out, and keeping who he fell in love with, a secret, because the 2020 version of myself would have just absolutely just blurted it out, and the whole shit will become front page news. And then, of course, that's how easily he gets rejected. So the 2022 version of myself wins this one. Now, style. Okay. Now, at 16, you would put on whatever the hell it is you put on that would still be like a middle school type of outfit. But now, looking at the 2022 version of myself, I had aura when it came to outfits. I would have sweaters, basketball jerseys, football jerseys, button-down tees, chains, sunglasses, whatever the fuck. Whatever cool I could find that had aura, I would just put on, okay? Look at this. I even went to prom. I had to dress up for prom. Look at that boy right there. Had all the aura in the world with the fresh cut and everything. Not giving a damn about what anybody said about his outfits at all. That Christmas jersey, or that Christmas sweater would start a new tradition of multiple sweaters I would get every single Christmas. This guy just had all the juice. So the 2022 version of myself wins this one, and it is not even close, okay? Something to prove. Who had more of something to prove during their primes? I would say the 2020 version of myself, because like I said in the beginning of the video, during my freshman year, I was a nobody. I was just a crash out, and I was proving that I was a crash out because I was always worried about certain things that I didn't need to worry on. And I was talking about stuff that didn't even make any sense. Like, I basically just wanted to be a known type of character like I was back in, 6th grade year. But my reputation was falling apart, and it was bad at the time. But finally, when I got up on that stage and had all that confidence back in 2020, that's where the weight off my shoulders just came off. The weight off my shoulders. So the 2020 version of myself wins this one in a blowout, because this was a big moment. A big moment for my persona, and the biggest centerpiece. Okay. So, yeah, I would do anything to go back to this day. Anything. I could have done a second performance. We ain't gonna talk about that. But, yeah, the sequel won't be as good as the first, okay? And I just had to say that. That's why I didn't do the second performance. You know what I'm saying? So, we are now heading into a 7th decisive decision.
Autobots, roll out. We roll.
All right, the last one, the biggest cultural impact. Now, the 2020 version of myself thought that performance at the Big Man on Campus will forever be his legacy, which still is to this very day. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it would later be forgotten. People wouldn't start thinking about it anymore, but people were still cool with me. You know what I'm saying? It had been like a few months at this point. In January, you know what I'm saying? Now, my confidence was still skyrocketing, but I did have to leave social media in March when the school closed down due to COVID. You know what I'm saying? And everything would change after the second part of my sophomore year, which I kind of didn't have fun with, but the first part was amazing. I tried to have fun. You know what I'm saying? I always tried to have fun, even if it's boring. Even if the shit is boring at this mid part of the year. You know what I'm saying? I had all the fun classes in the first semester. So that's why I didn't have much fun in the second half of my sophomore year. So, but what about a couple of years later? Yeah, this guy, the 2022 version of myself, legendary. Like, he had all the aura. He had a little bit of confidence in himself. He didn't care what anybody said about him. He just wants to be himself. And a lot of people will be talking about the stuff that he's done for entertainment, you know, the CLB memes on social media, the performances, the dancing, the dance moves, vlogging, his YouTube channel and everything, and just his outfits, you know what I'm saying? Just authentically being himself, you know what I'm saying? It's like this guy basically had everybody doing the heat check dance. Everybody doing the heat check. You know what I'm saying? Because he comes from a millennial household, a Gen X household. So the 2022 version of myself wins this whole debate. It was almost close. It was almost. But this one goes to the 2022 version of myself.